Hello, I love you vaingloriously wonderful people. Welcome back to Astroneer. After yesterday's really long video, I thought, let's do something shorter. Instead of going to the center of a planet, let's talk about achievements in Astroneer. I've gotten nearly all of them, just 3 that were still locked before this video. One is a secret unknown achievement, even though I know what it is because I've been to the Astroneer Gamepedia. Another was to complete all the achievements in Astroneer, which of course includes the unknown one. And the third that I had not yet unlocked was In an Astroneer's Garden, the title of this video. And that requires you to plant at least one of every type of seed. And that includes the spine lily, the lash leaf, the bounce vine, the wheeze weed, the thistle whip, pop coral, and the dagger root. And so that required a trip to a couple of different planets because not all of those plants are available on every single planet. So up first was Calidor to go find a spine lily. Spine lilies aren't really all that particularly dangerous. They do a little bit of damage to your Astroneer. Mainly though, they're just there to kind of knock you back. They can be a problem if they happen to be right next to a big canyon. Because what happens if you jump on them, they'll launch you up into the air. They do cause a little bit of damage, but mainly these guys just launch you up in the air. But if you're next to a big canyon and you launch in the air and you fall in that canyon, you could die. They don't launch you very high. Not all of them have seeds, as you can see here, but the majority of them that you unearth will. And you just have to dig a plant out to what I call kill it. I mean, a lot of them explode in gas. The majority of these had seeds, but they also had research samples, which you find in a lot of plants that you will kill in the game. So that gets us our spine lily seed, which brings us to the next one, which will be the lash leaf. The lash leaf is that one that looks like a giant tongue. There's no other way to describe it. We've got one over here to the left. I know it's dark here on Visanya. I'm very sorry. My solar system's broken, so I couldn't wait for daylight, because who knows when that would have been. So, very first try, 2 seeds came out of that lash leaf. Of course, they're both rolling away, and I'm going to struggle to catch them. Basically, with the lash leaf, these are all hazard plants. But with this one, it too just launches you in the air. Though with a lot more force, you go a lot higher. And again, since there's a lot of canyons here on Visanya and also on Novus where they appear, they can be dangerous because they can knock you down in the canyon and you can fall quite a way. So you got to watch out for them and you got to be really careful. So we're back here on Visanya for a plant that we've seen several times, and it's the bounce vine. Sylvania, did I say that? Silva. I don't know what I'm thinking. We're back here on Silva to go get a bounce vine. The bounce vines don't really do a whole lot of damage. I mean, they just kind of kick you up in the air. They do damage you a little bit. The problem with them is they don't often have seeds. None of these had seeds, in fact. They just all gave me research samples. These can be found on Silva, typically either in the mountainous areas or right, as you can see here, at the base of mountain areas. I wasn't too worried about getting a seed from this one, though, because I already have one back at my base that I collected a few days ago when I first started thinking about doing this video. So that's the bounce vine. I do have the seed, and we'll get to that one in a little bit with what we do with the seed. And so that brings us back to Calidor. You can also find this one on Atrox, and that's the Wheeze Weed. Essentially, what happens with this one is if you get too close, those big red membranes puff out, hitting you with a really strong gust of air, and it knocks you backwards a pretty good distance. Again, here in this terrain, not a big deal. It would just knock you down. But if you were somewhere where you could fall and you happen to get hit by one of these, well, it would be quite dangerous indeed, because it is a pretty big force. You can hear it kind of makes like a whoopee cushion sound, a fart sound, when you pop them. But that gets us our Wheeze Weed seed. So that brings us to the Thistle Whip, which is that big, tall, skinny thing off in the distance, the orange one. These guys do a couple things. When you get kind of close to them, one, they kind of turn and look at you. As you can see, they kind of glanced at you. They will turn and look at you, but they'll also start to shake, and they kind of emit some particles. And if you get too close, they will smack you. The whip name of, or part of their name. They reach down, they smack you around. Again, in and of itself, not all that hazardous. but they can knock you back quite a distance, and that's where the hazard lies. They do a little bit of damage, so I guess if you had a bunch of them all together that were hitting you, you might die from them alone. But the real hazard is that they'll knock you back, and you'll suffer fall damage if you're up high. Sadly, the first one didn't have a seed underneath it, so I had to go back and look for another one. It didn't take long to find another one, though, and thankfully, it's kind of over here where there is some sunlight. And we will get this one, and if you look over to the left, you can just see there for a second that red dot on top of the plant. That thing's a lobber, and you're going to hear it shoot at me here in just a second as I go to chase after the seed. I didn't realize it was over there when I first started going. You'll hear it right there. It lobs balls of gas at you, I believe, is that what that one does. I'd have to verify that. Yeah, the lobber, the lobs red orbs, and then those orbs explode into poison. So, yeah, not the nicest thing, but they don't produce seeds. So don't need to plant one of those. And hey, even if they did emit seeds or produce a seed, would you really want to plant that thing and have it nearby? No, you would not. The next seed that we need is from the pop coral plant. You've seen these things a bajillion times in my video. You've seen me dig out from underneath several of them. They tend to show up in caves, though you will see them occasionally on the surface. There we have some just to the left. In and of themselves, they're harmless. They won't do anything to you if you leave them alone. You can walk right next to them and they don't bother you at all. Where the harm comes from is, you'll see here as I begin to take these out, they emit quite a bit of gas. And there you can see I suffered a tiny bit of damage when that one popped, thus their name, pop coral. They emit a cloud of gas, and if you're nearby, that gas can damage you, and if you get too much of it, it will kill you. But the plant itself isn't going to do anything to you. They leave you alone. Since none of those contained a seed, I continued on down. By the way, you probably recognize this ramp. Yep, this is the ramp we used in the past 3 videos to get to the core of the planet. So there's a few more right over here, and we're also going to encounter one of my least favorite in just a moment. Found 3 more pop coral. They all 3 exploded to a cloud of gas. A couple were rather silently. But then you hear the acid sprayer. Oh my god, I hate these things. They're only underground. Sometimes they're embedded in rock, and I kill them any chance I get. They spray a cloud of acid at you, and it's horribly dangerous because the one hit can kill you. Not always, but usually one hit's enough. And they aim right at you. This pop coral did give me a seed, though, so we've got that one for the collection. And that brings us to our final plant. And that brings me back up to Calidor because there's one of these here. Where there it is in the distance. We're looking for the dagger root. These can often be confused with pop coral just because of their similar color and the fact that they have the same red bits on the side. But these are a bit more dangerous. If you get too near them, they shoot out dangerous spikes. And those spikes can kill you in just a couple of hits. So you want to be careful of them. Interestingly enough, if you see them in caves or even on the surface, you can jump on top of the bigger ones because they don't have spikes. So with all of the seeds collected, it's time to head back to Silva. So heading over to the rocket ship and plant all of these seeds. So I have this little wooded area where I've been digging out resources and soil. That's not too far from my base. And I thought that'd be a nice place to plant all my little deadly plants in their own garden. So I loaded them up onto medium storage, brought them over here, and planting them is as easy as setting them down on the ground and then interacting with them to plant them. And once you get all 7 of them planted, you do get the achievement, and they will grow into full-size plants. And it takes 4 or 5 minutes for them to all grow, and we'll take a look at them all popping up out of the ground. Sadly, the one of them, I don't remember which, one of the larger ones, actually, it was the last one that we just got. It didn't decide to go into a larger version of the dagger root. It stayed really small. Matter of fact, it stayed about the same size as the seed. It just kind of grew a little bit. I was really hoping it would get a little bit bigger, but oh well. There are other dangerous, hazardous plants on the planet. We already saw the acid sprayer and the lobber. There's also a popper. We've seen them. Well, actually, I don't know. Have we done a video up on the ice planet, the name of which I've just gone blank on? I don't know, but the popper is a big It almost looks like a big blue balloon with some tiny balloons around the base. If you get near it, it explodes into a cloud of acid that can kill you. And that happens if you just get nearby. There's also a shooter, which shoots a projectile that explodes. It can destroy your vehicles, which makes them quite dangerous if you get near them in a vehicle. So you can be stranded without your vehicle. And of course, there's the spewer, which are only on Aatrox. They're beautiful, honestly. There's these big, beautiful flowers. When you get really near them, they retract down into themselves, like the leaves pull themselves in, and at the same time, they emit a pretty big cloud of poison. Yeah, you can get close to them and then back off as they spew out the gas, but you got to be careful with them. If you want, I will take a look at those as well in a separate video. Just leave a comment down below, and also let me know if you'd like to see more of these shorter, quick tip, how-to, achievement hunting type videos on Astroneer, in addition to my longer, more exploration style videos as we go through to unlock all the gateway engines on all the other planets. And there you go. Our very first one has sprung into life. That's the Lash Leaf, followed very quickly by one of the Bounce Vines, and then the Wheeze Weed right after it. And then shortly after was the Spine Lily with the Pop Coral and the Thistle Whip. Like I said, I'm not really sure exactly when the Dagger Root reached maturity. It didn't get much bigger than the seed. It stayed like that. I waited around for like another 10 minutes thinking it was going to grow larger, like the plant that I dug up from the soil. But sadly, it didn't. It is no longer a seed, though. When I hover the cursor over it, it doesn't say anything anymore, which is the way the plants work. Interestingly enough, though, we did get a research item out of one of these guys. Our Pop Coral friend here decided to produce a research item. I'm not going to dig it up, though. I'm just going to leave my little deadly plant garden planted over here to the side. But that's going to do it for this rather short Astroneer video, or at least shorter than the other Astroneer videos that I've produced. So until next time, I'm Brandon, reminding you to stay vainglorious.